What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Roster Bubble Series video. Please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe to turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Also, share this out. We appreciate that. The video series in the channel is still a dead time here in the NFL offseason. And guess what? Content creators aren't putting out the content. We are constantly. So would appreciate a shout and all the good stuff. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on TikTok. We appreciate it. So, with that being said, we got another Roster Bubble Series video on our hands. Today is Alex-GajovichProtich, but first I'll run through how we usually do these things. 5 to 10 minutes long. I go into the player's background, competition, of course, a player that's on the cusp of being cut. Background, competition, how can he win a spot on the roster, how he may lose a spot on the roster, followed by a prediction at the end. So let's talk about Alex-GajovichProtich. Alex-GajovichProtich is 25 years old, so he's still kind of a young kid. He was an undrafted free agent with the Jets in 2020, actually played college at Miami and Georgia. Then with the Browns in 2021, with the Jets in 2022. Then he was cut by them, and the Giants decided to take a flyer on him, and he probably played the most. I would say, let's take a look. Yeah, I would say played the most percentage of snaps in his career offensively in the games he got. And I would say, yeah, most playing time with the New York Giants that he's seen in his career and most attention, really. So let's just go through the stats real quick, and then we'll explain some other things, competition, and go forward in that. So with the Jets, in his first year, 2 receptions, 35 yards in 1 game started and 2 games total. Nothing with the Browns in 2021, just 1 game total. Then with the Jets in 2022, 1 game, 1 target, no catches. With the Giants, 6 games, 3 starts, 13 receptions, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 72.2 catch percentage. If you take a look at the snap percentages, 28% of the offensive snaps in 2 games for the Jets in 20, 1% in 21 for Cleveland. With the Jets, 12% in 1 game in 22, and 51% of the offensive snaps in 6 games for the New York Giants 2022 as well. Special teams, he played 41% in the 1 game for the Jets and 9% in 6 games with the Giants. So the thing with Alex-GajovichProtich is he is a converted tight end. Like a lot of these other guys that we're seeing, a lot of wide receivers are converting to tight ends. Some, players will make the transition back. Like I think there was rumors that Andre Miller was making the transition back to wide receiver. Maybe, I guess, because he couldn't block right or whatever the case may be. I kind of feel bad for the guy because we really haven't seen him. Andre Miller, but he got cut by the Giants. He's on like the reserve injured list or whatever, so we're not going to see him. But anyway, back to Alex-GajovichProtich. He is a converted wide receiver to tight end. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that. And there's a lot of positives and negatives come with that. And right off the bat, Alex-GajovichProtich is a good pass catcher. Obviously, a catch percentage of 72.2. But he is not a reliable blocker. And you know what? Fun fact. Hey, listen, Darren Waller, he is a converted tight end. Can he block? No. But he's a very good pass catcher and a dynamic pass catcher at that. But once again, back to Alex-GajovichProtich. So, as I mentioned in the video about Chris Myrick, who is one of the guys competing against Alex-GajovichProtich for a spot, it depends on what the New York Giants want. Do they want another blocking tight end? Do they want another pass-catching tight end? Do they want a guy who has the potential to do both? It's one of those 3, most likely down to the first 2 I mentioned. So his competition looks like this. Chris Myrick, who we did a video on, I believe, yesterday, so please check it out. Tommy Sweeney, who is a Boston College product, played with the Bills for a few years. And Ryan Jones, undrafted free agent. I believe he's also a converted tight end. Don't quote me on that, though. So that's his competition. How can he win? Staying healthy, obviously, is the first one. He's been pretty much available for the New York Giants, so I can't say that he hasn't been healthy. Try to get some first-team reps. It's going to be very tough, but hey, listen, always try to get some first-team reps. I don't know how many 3 tight end sets the Giants will run, but if Waller needs a break or Bellinger needs a break, try to bust in there a little bit. Creates a mismatch versus linebackers and safeties. That's going to be the main thing that's on Cager's side is because he's a converted tight end, he can go up against like linebackers and safeties and create that mismatch. You don't really see corners covering tight ends a lot because that takes away from the coverage on the wide receivers. So that's where the Giants are probably going to value possibly a pass-catching tight end more, is the mismatch ability. Evan Ingram practically was a wide receiver that was converted to a tight end. Not really, but it's just that he had the body of a wide receiver, and he created the mismatch, but unfortunately could not block. So mismatch versus linebackers and safeties, it would be actually pretty nice if he could do it against corners. I'm not really counting on that, though, because, Cager is a second, third string player, so I'm not getting my hopes up for anything. Block the best when asked. I don't think the Giants will put him in a ton of blocking situations. Maybe in situations like, for instance, a chip. A chip on a pass rusher that's coming in, or blocking on a screen. Like those basic blocking duties. Do those the best you can. And I know, once again, that's kind of cliche. That's a simpleton answer. But these are ways that Lawrence Cager can find himself on the Giants 53 after all the cutdowns. And special teams, I would try to make some impact there. Tackles, forcing block punts and stuff like that. Also blocking on special teams. I know sometimes they'll have the tight ends in the formation, like blocking guys so that nobody gets past them and gets the punter. So that's another one as well. How can he lose? Doesn't get the targets. I don't know for sure if he's got a rapport with Tyrod Taylor. I would guess he has a rapport with Taylor or Tommy DeVito. Not the Goodfellas guy, by the way, not the mobster. And I'm talking about Tommy DeVito, the Illinois quarterback. But I would guess he has a rapport with either of them because of, mini camps. But they're going to work on that rapport, again, because he's going to be, with the 2s and 3s a lot, in my guesses. But he's got to be open and get the targets, create the mismatch against the linebackers that we have, the safeties we have. There's a couple of guys he could definitely take advantage of. And if he doesn't, that's going to be a step down for him. Doesn't separate in mismatch scenarios. That's exactly what I just talked about. And isn't effective as a temporary blocker or on special teams. Special teams, is always like an extra way to make the roster. Nick Vanette was a special teamer. He was also a decent blocker and a decent pass catcher for the Giants last year. Bellinger's not really going to be a special teams impact. Neither is Darren Waller. So maybe one guy in that tight end room could be a special teams impact. But back to the temporary blocker thing. Do the best on the chips and the blocking in the screens and blocking on special teams, because that's your ticket to the roster. Those little intangibles, those little skill set tests are going to be your way to the roster, besides the biggest chunk being creating mismatch against linebackers and safeties. Especially when you're facing guys on the 2s and 3s squad. You should definitely take advantage of that. So just to recap, how can you win? Stay healthy, try to get some first-team reps, create some mismatch against linebackers, safeties, corners, block the best when asked, special teams. How can you lose? Doesn't get the targets, doesn't separate in mismatch scenarios, and isn't effective as a temporary blocker. I do think that he's going to make the New York Giants roster. Now, he only played 6 games for the New York Giants last year. Some games he was inactive. Some games he was on the practice squad, or whatever the scenario was. But I do think Cager can be something for this Giants offense. And nothing too big. But with Darren Waller coming in, with the uncertainty of the Saquon Barkley situation, I think the Giants are looking to pass the ball more, not necessarily run it a ton, kind of like they did last year, but kind of have that even balance. And, if they can have a mismatch with a guy like Lawrence Cager against an opposing linebacker or an opposing safety, they'll take it because, Paris Campbell, we have to see what he's like in this offense. Darius Slayton, these are not all, once again, number one guys or star power guys that the Giants have. And once again, like I said in the other video that I mentioned, the wide receiver room, I said, look, Joe Schoen did a great job building up the depth, but at the same time, we can't be surprised if this offense doesn't really fly up all the way right away. So I have Lawrence Cager making the roster. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when the live stream pops for your drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. A lot of new content coming your way. A lot of different perks coming your way. We'll let you know about that. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.